me by this road. Watching them all let go. How do I break from this stranglehold? I need to regain control. Should I just wait, set things straight? A battle to procrastinate. Moments left, time escape.
Welcome everyone to Five Flag Speedway, as we are here for the 250 lap main event here for the 4th annual SARA Fall Brawl, sponsored by H&H Sign Supply. I don't think there's a proper way to really word that whatsoever, but nonetheless though, we are live and up and running. Apologies for a little bit of the extra delay if you're checking out the chat before we went live. Just going through a few overlay stuff. It was the most simple thing ever to fix, but aside from that, I am Gary Weaver, and Michael Conti is also up here with me for the 4th and, well, not really final time, but, you know, for final time for now, I should say. I think that works out, but everything is finally working properly, and we're going to go through some pre-show interviews here, as we do have a bit of time to kill. As we have about 20 to 27 minutes left in the practice, and we finally have everything up and running properly in terms of that purple bar up there. I can now put custom text in. But Michael, this is gonna be a pretty fun race for tonight.
Yeah, it sure will be, Gary. We've seen some pretty awesome racing in the qualifiers so far this week. I mean, non-stop action, contact, spins, crashes, side-by-side racing. I mean, you've got a little bit of everything. So these guys are going to be on a mission tonight. This is a big deal. There's a lot of money on the line for a league race. There's a lot of prestige that surrounds this race, and there's a lot of folks in here that want to come away the winner tonight, but they're going to have to go through the likes of Majeski, Mullis, Brad Mahar, Trevor Edwards, who won this race before. So a lot of stiff competition, but got a good field here tonight. I'm sure it's going to be fun for those who are watching.
And it's going to be absolutely exciting, and we like to, before we get this event underway, which we have about 26 minutes left until then, I would also like to thank pretty much about the 100 to 158 or so people that have watched these past 3 races throughout this week. It's absolutely wonderful to see the support for this league and just how much effort has been put into this, even through a few technical issues, both on our side, iRacing, and sort of iRacing in that case. But everyone's stuck with us throughout this entire thing, so it's going to be quite interesting. We're going to get interviews in before we get started with Joe Schaefer Jr., Samuel Roush, Trevor Edwards, and Matt Rolfe, in that order as well. So the interesting thing, Samuel Roush, even though he went from the C main to the B main and he wrecked, he was given a provisional to race in here tonight. So after all that heartbreak, he has gotten a reprieve, and once again, he's gotten another chance to prove himself tonight.
Yeah, and that was a question that we had exiting last night. We weren't sure if he got in, weren't sure if he was out, but it looks like an exception was made, and luckily for him, after all that hard work, that crash in the last lap is not going to put a damper on his efforts here this week. So good for him. He's shown a lot of heart, a lot of determination to make this race. So definitely look for him to come up to the field tonight.
It's going to be absolutely exciting to see him. We're going to see if we can get a word in with Trevor Edwards. So there goes my in that order there, since Schaefer isn't here. Roush is, however, so he's going to be on standby as well. We're going to get him after Edwards, as well, Edwards, he won the 3rd annual SARA Fall Brawl last year, so he's going to be looking to make it 2 times in a row. And if I can find his card number, see if we can focus on him. Is he currently on the track? Yes, he is. So we get train paints loaded, as we had just remembered that. And apologies for the screen going dark. There we go. Now it's back. I feel like we should wait for Trevor Edwards, but you know what? We'll see if he's available in a few moments. We'll see if we can also get Samuel Roush in here as well. But aside from that, he is, yeah, both drivers actually on the racetrack. So we'll start with the 13 of Samuel Roush, if he is available in a few moments' time. So we're going to get a quick standby on that, and we'll see if Roush is here. Samuel Roush, you have us.
Yes, sir.
Well, you got a reprieve finally in terms of the getting into this race. So congratulations on that, and it's absolutely amazing to see that you've gotten a provisional into this race. So I'm pretty sure you are more than likely relieved at that.
Oh yes, last night was a very rough night. All week really, including the Tour Mod and Street Stock race, it just seemed like any attrition that happened around my car for whatever reason. So it was nice, especially after being able to drive up there when we had the incident with Donald. I know it wasn't intentional or anything, but it was kind of a bummer, and then I found out I got the provisional this morning and made it much better.
It made it a whole lot better, so definitely great news for your morning tonight. Is there any other testing that you did prior to this, actually, upon getting that news?
No additional testing. I just did some practice now, having full fuel in the car. Last night we only had about a half tank of fuel in there, and it drove really good. Right now is just getting all the fuel in there, making sure it still drives good on a long run and doesn't get too free or anything like that. But the car is really, really good. Dallas did a really great job building the car. I think we'll be a threat as long as we get the position.
And hopefully you can get that position, and we have seen you as well get that, get up to 4th place twice actually in the same night. So we can't wait to see what you have in store for tonight. So we're going to go ahead and let you go. So good luck out there for tonight.
I appreciate it. And thanks to you guys for broadcasting, Matt for running a great league, and Dynamic Autosports, and again Dallas for building a wonderful car.
That was Samuel Roush, as everyone's paint scheme is air quote rebooting here. So before we get off of Samuel Roush's cars, everyone's paint scheme is actually going to be loading in. We're going to see what Samuel Roush is running as well, as we've tuned in on his car, and we're not going to wait. So we'll see if we can get his car later though, and we'll see if we can get Trevor Edwards in here. Trevor Edwards, do you have us?
Yeah, I got you, bud.
Well, you won the 3rd annual SARA Fall Brawl last year, and you're looking to make it 2 times in a row for this year. So is there anything that you're looking ahead for tonight's race?
I was have fun. Last year, car was really good. This year, I've been lacking speed all season, so just going to try to make it to the 200 lap mark and then see what kind of happens after that.
Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting to see what happens after lap 200. So that's also going to be, again, just another key thing. We saw 62 laps last night had a complete difference versus 60 laps. So 2 laps made a difference, and 250 can make a, well, 250 total in a sense. It's going to be a very large difference. So we hope to talk to you later in the race. So good luck out there for tonight.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
And we're going to get the recent Super Late Model Series champion, Joe Schaefer Jr. in here. And, well, Michael Conte, if you want to go for it, then we'll send him over to you.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. Caught up with Joe Schaefer Jr. Joe, you got us?
I got you.
All right, Joe. So big race here tonight, 250 laps, and that's long in terms of super late model race. Just walk us through what your strategy is tonight and how you're going to approach the event.
Well, I mean, in terms of strategy, it's the longest race we run with SARA, and you can't let yourself turn into you can't let yourself get too caught up in the moment. Yeah, it's a big race, but it's just like any other race. So I don't know. It's one of those things you kind of got to see where cautions fall and where your track position is, and take it at that.
I understand that completely. Do you have any goals that you're looking to achieve tonight? I mean, obviously you want to win the race, but where do you expect yourself to be come the halfway mark? Do you see yourself top 5, top 10? Given the car you have, what do you think you can get out of tonight?
Given the car we have, I know we can stay top 5 at the break, or at halfway, and that's probably about where I'd like to be. just for the fact that, you know, it's so hard to take 4 tires here with a little bit of gas and not lose a lap to the pace car. So I'm going to try to hang around the top 5 as long as I can, and barring any kind of incident, I should be able to stay there and hopefully stay there all the way to the end, but anything can happen in these long races.
It sure can. We even saw that in the shorter races last night. So before I let you go here, last question, you know, kind of gauge the field here. Who do you think is going to be the biggest threat to you as far as getting the job done and winning tonight?
I would say between Ty Majeski, Jim Cowdell, and Jimmy Mullis, those are 3 pretty big names, and if you're going to win this race, it's definitely going to mean something to get around those guys.
All right, well, that is Joe Schaefer. Good luck, Joe, and hope to talk to you after the race.
All right, thank you.
So, goodness, that's Joe Schaefer Jr. We're going to get Matt in here in a few moments' time. I believe he's directing literal traffic over in terms of the everybody lining up for the group photos. And
Yeah, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's quite interesting to see everyone just lining up for the group photos and how they're done as well. So there's Schaefer. That's right. I just realized we're on the pin camera. So there we go. So everyone's going to be... This is going to take a while, actually. But this is quite interesting to just watch everybody. Here's a pit lane camera that we are on. I'm going to restart the overlay in a few moments' time. So if that ends up... So if the screen goes dark again, which it will, apologies for that. But that's the life of restarting these overlays. And somebody trying to get it to work. Somehow just underlapped itself. But simple restart. That fixes that. And looks like we can, yeah, we're actually going to go over the starting grid as well, if possible. And if that is under the system as well. Hopefully it is. And aside from that, somebody's flying up on the top side. Yeah, this is usually, I believe they do their photos for SARA. I believe they do their photos in essentially panoramic style. So this is going to take a while.
Sure is. A lot of cars here tonight too, so it's going to take a little bit for everybody to get lined up and stage. But this is yeah, this gives me an idea for big series next year. I think we need to do something like this.
That JD's back. Oh boy, he's got the Rise of the Turkey hashtag going again. But yeah, we have yeah, that would be interesting for Peak, just having during practice at one point, just stop everybody in the infield or the apron of the front straight at Daytona. So that'd be pretty cool. And Junior Jason just says, yeah, that's what I was thinking too, Junior. Yeah, he said that Conti, you're a really good commentator, and he'd rather see you out there mixing it up with them. You did mention that last night, after all. So
I'll tell you what. I mean, this is exciting, and as I've said many times this week, I don't know anything about mains and features and all that stuff, but I think I could wheel a late model around this place pretty decently. So maybe I'll be here next year and you can call me to a win. I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe. That's going to take a long time, though. But yeah, hopefully I'd love to do this next year as well, especially since, again, Derek Robinson and Clay Snyder, who's not here tonight as far as I know, but Clay Snyder's not here as far as I know. But as far as Derek Robinson and Clay Snyder, they're both the commentator and producer, respectively, of the regular SARA TV, SARA TV. So I definitely recommend checking them out. I am heavily jealous of their overlays, which is why I found out about them in the first place. But we'll see if we can get the starting grid up here in a few moments' time. Overlay is back up and working correctly. And we're going to get some information out to you guys watching at home as well once this loads up. But yeah, this is essentially a group photo in progress.
This is a cool moment for these guys too. We've built the anticipation for this race is built throughout the week, with the initial races at Volusia with the dirt street stock to the second night where we saw Tour Modifieds rip around this place, and then the qualifiers last night, now the race tonight. This whole photo staging process, the intensity builds for these guys, and they know once those photos are taken, they're going to roll off and they're going to have 250 extremely hard laps to run tonight. So although The anticipation is probably killing some of these drivers. A little bit of a break before the race probably does them some good too.
Yeah, a little bit of a break and just a little bit of fun with just lining up as well. And I'm seeing something that's really, oh man, this is just the personal thing of mine. But if we look over here, we have a few people not directly up against the wall, but they also have like 3 feet separating them. In a way, though, it's understandable if that's going to be something for a little bit later as well. So could be again with the panoramic photo. There's was that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more drivers out of about 30 that we have at this raceway. There's no one else lined up on the track as we can see. So fireworks are going to be coming out just off of turn number 2 at the end of this race, and it's going to be very exciting to see. Some information about this race, as per usual: open setups and no fast repairs. 1 extra set of tires is available, but most drivers are likely to wait until halfway or closer to lap 200 if possible. The estimated fuel mileage is around 180 laps, so closer to lap 200 and 180 laps of fuel mileage, that works out pretty well.
Yeah, it does, but either way though, they're still going to have to pit at least once for a little bit of gas, but how long are those tires going to last, right? We've seen some fall off this week. It hasn't been huge, but even a half of a second worth of fall off, that's pretty big in terms of a 15.5-second lap time. So when to pit, when not to pit, when to take track position, and when to give it up, those are all the dilemmas for these guys out here. And if any of these guys have crew chiefs or spotters that are helping out tonight, it's going to be a hard decision on when to pit. We've seen all throughout the week, especially at this racetrack, once you get back in the pack, you are extremely vulnerable to all of the mess that happens back there, the spins, the crashes, and we've seen enough as it is. So track position is going to be key for the most part, but taking tires at the right point is also going to be critical to being successful at the end of the night.
And it's going to be insanely critical, and I think they heard me because a few drivers moved down in turn 1. They moved down to the edge of the to the inside wall, so they either heard me or race control is forwarding that information. So aside from that, though, thanks for that. That makes me feel a little bit better as in terms of looks. This is why I take photos sometimes once in a while. But anyway, as far as prizes goes, well, the HideSpry.com head-to-head throwdown, $25 between Colin Allman and the Dallas Pataska. Whichever driver finishes ahead of the other will win that free $25. And the hard charger award is $10. So the driver that gains the most positions of the night, they get $10. Everybody gets a payout no matter what position they finish in. As the race winner, of course, they get $300. Second place gets $150. Third gets $100. Fourth place gets $60. Sorry, fourth place gets $80. Fifth place gets $60. Sixth place gets $45. 40 to 7th. 35 to 8th. $30 to 9th. 25 to 10th. And then decreasing $1 increments. So $20, 19, 18, 17 as 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, all the way through 12th. And then at 21st through 30th, get a free $10 just for participating. So there's even if it doesn't work out for you, Michael, for next year, you could still get a free $10 out of that, or maybe a little bit more.
Hey, you know what? Honestly, first year peak for me, I was paid $5 a race for my sponsor. So to get $10 for basically just showing up to this one, it'd be like two races worth of sponsorship from 2012. So hey, that's pretty good.
To think that was a long time ago. My goodness.
Yeah, cost has gone up just a little bit since then.
Just a bit. Yep.
Still reasonable, though. Still reasonable. Very reasonable for anybody watching.
Yeah, so long as it works. We're going to see... I'm pretty sure this is the... I have a sneaking suspicion. Yep, that is the starting grid for... Not even the starting grid. Those are the current statistics for... There we go. For the practice session. And there's absolutely no starting grid whatsoever for... There's not starting grid information for the race as of now. So as far as that goes, we don't have that information as of yet through iRacing, probably because it didn't work out too well. But they've taken the photo, they're going to go off and have a small demolition derby. I don't see why not. Might as well have fun.
Yeah, I guess so.
They
probably not laugh at them when they crash like that, because at some point it's going to be for real.
At some point, yeah. We have about 8 minutes 55 seconds and counting downwards to get that out of our system. So they won't mind, hopefully. I mean, it's practice, so it doesn't really matter that much. Yeah, everyone's here, goodness, everyone's here just having fun, and so are we as well. And we're also going to take a few non-commercial breaks throughout the night, and I say non-commercial breaks in the form of, once we get this up, there we go. It's going to be a little bit of this, essentially. This is what you'll be seeing. You'll see the track, of course, broadcast logo and the sponsors, but you'll not hear us talking since we have to rest our voices at some point. So we're going to do a commercial break once in a while, a full-on commercial break at a few points, but during green flag runs we will have something like this up during that time, so you don't miss any of the action whatsoever.
There's going to be a lot of it too. A lot of action tonight, and as we said before, we've seen it in the qualifiers, even with short races at 60 or 62 laps. But from green to checkered, I mean, we saw quite a bit happen. So 250 laps here tonight, a guaranteed pit stop or two, or maybe more, depending on how your race goes. Got some good cars in the back of the field that came up to the qualifiers last night. They'll be on the move, and we've got your typical front runners starting up front. So there's going to be a lot happening in the midfield, a lot of comers probably from the back, and a lot of guys tonight that have something to race for. Pretty much everybody out here is a sponsor or two or three. They've got people watching the broadcast or watching in sim right now, so a lot of people with quite a bit on the line for this type of racing. So it should be a really good show.
It's going to be an absolutely exciting show, and assuming Matt Rolfe is done directing traffic, again, quite literally, we'll see if he is available for a little bit of information here on the past, 3 races that they've done and everything else. So, Matt Rolfe, do you have a copy with us?
Yes, I do.
Well, we love to bring you in here again for the 4th and not really final time, at least on this broadcast, because my goodness, this is going to be, not the broadcast, I should say, the series in general, because this is absolutely exciting. I'd love to do this for next year if possible. But aside from that, though, go ahead and explain to us and pretty much everybody at home who makes this happen and the past 3 events and how they've gone.
Yeah, I appreciate you showing the cars all lined up on the front stretch there. It's something we've done every year so far for this event, is just line them up and taking the group photo. Kind of cool to use on social media and the website and stuff like that. So that gives them a little bit of extra love, I guess. But yeah, we got a lot of sponsors this week for the event. As you've talked about already, we got a lot of money on the line between entry fees and sponsors. We couldn't do it without the sponsors. So H&A Science Supply is the title sponsor for the event. Can't thank them enough. Callaway Investments, Midwest Power Source, Highs Pride, The Hub Used Sim Racing Giveaways, Salty Hooks, Canfield Auto Body, and Race1.us. I appreciate all those guys for their support. They not only sponsor this event, but sponsor the regular season as well. But yeah, we got a big race coming up here tonight. 250 laps, super late models. Got some extra tires available in the pits. They got 4 extra tires that they can take at any point, so we'll see plenty of strategy tonight. I expect everyone to wait until at least halfway, if not closer to lap 200, to even think about taking those tires. As long as they're, handling and stuff like that. If the car's not handling, those tires will make a bigger difference early on. But the key thing tonight is just sticking around towards the end of the race. If you can be on the lead lap after lap 200, you got a realistic shot at this tonight. So that's what everyone's going to be hopefully trying to do, and hopefully we have a nice, clean race.
It's going to be a very exciting race, and we're going to see if the overlay properly works this time. Just giving it a quick restart again, because for some reason window overlap is a thing. But nonetheless, though, we're going to go ahead and let you go watch this event, and well, we're going to go through the starting grid as quickly as possible. So thanks for having us on for these past 3 to 4 days.
Yeah, thank you guys. We'll talk to you later.
So that is Matt Rolfe, and starting grid shows that everything is properly working. I'm going to go through this as quickly as possible. We have Tim Bills, Jimmy Mullis, Joe Schaefer Jr., Brad Mahar, Keith Medeiros, Brendan Wilkinson, Kyle Souza, Ty Majeski, Jim Caldwell Jr., Ryan Matthews, Colin Allman, Dallas Pataska, Justin LeDuc, Ryan Doucet, Connor Blaze, Drew Krybick, Cameron Hamlin, Michael Goddard, Chris Canfield, David Kikorian, Devin Morgan, Derek Robinson, Adam Benefiel, Adam Jocelyn, row of Adams there, Trevor Edwards, Donald Clark, Jeremy Davis, Jared Boyros, Samuel Roche, and Ty Spearman. All 30 drivers for tonight's race. This is going to be absolutely it's going to be insanely exciting.
Yeah, it sure is. And as you mentioned there, you've got some really good cars in the back that are probably going to have quite a bit of pace here later on. Adam Benefiel, 83 car, Trevor Edwards, 32. We've talked about Roush, Boyros, and Spearman were pretty impressive in their qualifiers at times. So although Mullis and Bills are starting up front here, they can't wait around too long because you got some fast cars in the back.
Yeah, 250 laps are underway here for the 4th annual SARA Fall Brawl, and everyone sends it down into turn 1 and 2, and side by side already. It's going to be pretty much the huge majority of the field, as right now a huge breakaway from Tim Bills for as much as he can, side by side for second, with Mullis and Schaefer right behind.
Yeah, and we interviewed Schaefer before the race, and he was really confident in his car. He thinks that he can stay top 5 pretty much the whole night, if not compete for the win. So first couple laps are good here. Move the H&H 6 car up to second. JDR Graphics number 40 Turkey car back to third.
And side by side now for 5th between Medeiros and Mahar. Mahar top side in the 62. 60 of Keith Medeiros on the low side. Almost a little bit of contact there, but so far smooth 3 laps now, working 4 laps as that battle's going to go single file. And on the top side, it's going to be Ty Majeski, unfortunately, but they'll try and keep that on the top side. Justin LeDuc got forced up on the top side as well.
Yeah, Majeski not really going in the right direction right now. He's stuck on the top, and as we saw as a common theme over the past few nights, the bottom is really the way to go on fresh tires on a green track. But as the tires wear out and the track gets heated up, that middle, right where Majeski is right there, that line really gets a run off the corner. But Majeski, though, smartly tucks that Ford Performance 91 car onto the bottom lane, and that'll relegate him to position number 11.
Sorry. Goodness. Yeah, it's going to be a long night for Majeski, but he did show a lot of momentum in the past week, essentially. So right now, Justin LeDuc falls in behind Pataska, and it's going to be a very slow sorting into single file. And right when I say that, 77 of Doucet stays up on the top side, so he'll be okay. And I believe the entire field is going to be single file for a few laps' time. Everyone's going to take it very slowly as much as possible while still racing for position. Again, roughly 180 laps worth if we don't get any cautions. So they could take advantage of the cautions and maybe somehow stretch out that fuel to 250 laps.
And meanwhile, we've got Morgan in the 11 car working the bottom of Canfield in the 53. Morgan showed signs of brilliance in his qualifiers yesterday. A little inconsistent though. Car went away in the longer runs from what we could see. So hopefully he's made some good adjustments overnight to make that 11 car a little better longer into this race here. But so far so good for the 11. He's moving to the front.
It's moving to the front as quickly as possible. A little bit of a battle in front of them as well, just directly in front actually. Well, not really directly in front, but Connor Blaze up on the top side in the 57, LeDuc on the inside in the 27. So Blaze trying to make that top side work. About 2 to 3 drivers try to make it work already early in this race. But right now, well, I was about to say a battle for second, but it's starting to break away, however, so that is pretty interesting. And just behind them, the 62 Brad Mahar wants to move up to 4th place.
Yeah, Brad's got Tim's Corner Motorsports in the car right there. Tim Terry, big name in sim racing, journalism, and broadcasting. So cool to see that on the car. But Mahar, he's been around this simulation a long time. He dates back to even before I was on here. So longtime member of the sim, and he hasn't lost any pace over the years. He's looking pretty good in that 62, trying to take over that 4th spot.
He's doing a great job sticking to that inside, but doing a great job on that outside, though, is Keith Medeiros. He's trying to somehow take whatever momentum they can from that top side and find any grip whatsoever. But for the time being, it isn't working out too well, but he is trying his best. The lead, however, Jimmy Mullis, well, it's actually for second place. Jimmy Mullis moves up to second.
Yeah, Mullis up to second. Looks like Schaefer.
That did move Bills up to down to 3rd place.
Yep, Schaefer up to 1st, Mullis 2nd, Bills down to 3rd, and that car is fading fast. Looks like Bills might have a short run car here tonight, but that 37 is fading fast, 16 laps into it.
Yeah, there is a lot of time left, and the full halfway point will be 125 laps, so I believe that halfway break that was mentioned by, I believe, Schaefer, that's going to be an actual halfway break, as in pulling everyone pit road, kind of all-star style break, I assume, but we'll get more information and give that to you as quickly as we receive that. So Wilkinson on the not really defensive, but he's going to be on the offensive, though, on the top side, trying to get around Tim Bills. May have gotten a little bit loose with his 56 as we ride on board with him, but he is doing just fine, though, and you can see the brake roads in the 37 glowing in that right front, but doing a great job on that top side as somebody was loose off of turn number 4 there. That was Jim Caldwell Jr. just almost off the edge of the screen.
Yeah, Jim is in an intense battle right now at the 67 of Allman. Jim looks like he's trapped on the bottom right now. That's the C&J Energy Services #1 car. But yeah, really can't make any time off of the bottom, loose off of 4, and he'll give up the spot to Allman.
And meanwhile, Kyle Souza gets by Tim Bills. Tim Bills is definitely starting to fall back now, unfortunately. So it could be strategy by him, though. It could help him out in the long run. But right now, very close battle for first place, or brewing, rather, is going to be between Jimmy Mullis and Schaefer Jr. So we did get word last night that Jimmy Mullis is indeed a junior, just not officially under iRacing. Well, never mind. There goes Schaefer Jr. to the top side, and he just lets them right on by. So Jimmy Mullis is going to be now in first, and it's going to be top 2 of juniors, just unofficially for Mullis. So J.D. Laird is definitely going to be pretty happy about that.
And that move right there by Schaefer, that shows why he's a previous champion in the Super Late Model Series. He's got tact, and he knows when to push and when not to. And 22 laps into a 250-lap endurance race for these guys, there's no reason to push and try to hold off the 40 when clearly Mullis has the pace on him right now. But speaking of pace, Bills from first back to 10th. First back to 10th in seemingly 10 laps. So 37 cars struggling, and he's falling into the clutches of the Ford Performance #91 Tyler Keski.
Yeah, he's trying to fend off that #1 of Jim Caldwell Jr., but for the time being, it's not going to work out. So again, that #1 has that momentum on the inside for the time being. At the very least, almost made contact off turn number 4 there as well. Not sure if the 37 got loose or the 1 got loose, but yeah, it was pretty close, and the 37 looked a little bit sideways. This could help him out, though, that he's falling back. He has a lot of opening. There he goes behind Majeski for 11th. And right now, again, everyone just quickly gets single files it back out. But right when I say that, no. All right, shoots a look to the inside of Wilkinson for 5th, but nothing happened there.
And at this point in the race, now it's going to be hard to complete passes on the bottom. You see most of the top runners have moved up the track a little bit, especially on entry, and they're cutting it down really low off of the corners to get a run. Right there, the 7 was caught sleeping. He's going to be under pressure from Colin on the top right there, and Colin gets a great run off of 4, and he'll complete the pass.
Ooh, Souza really backed off there, and he almost got turned, it seemed, by Ryan Matthews, but both drivers keeping it clean and still going forward. No major contact or contact at all, actually, so everyone is going to be still running smooth. And yeah, there's the entry, kind of in a way diamonding the corner, having a high entry and a high entry, low through the middle of the corner, then a high exit. But yeah, that's just for about turn 3 or so. Allman may be under fire from Wilkinson for 5th in a few moments' time, but Allman did get by during that battle when Caldwell Jr. was getting passed.
And Allman, from what I can tell, is the biggest mover of the race so far. He's advanced from the 11th starting position all the way to position number 5. And correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, isn't he in a battle with somebody else for a $25 bonus?
Yeah, it's Dallas Pataska, who currently sits in 12th place. So 5th versus 12th. This is in a way like a championship. And ooh, man, this would have been a good time to try out the new feature for ATVO with the live championship position. I could have just done that for fun. Man, oh well. Well, it's always next year, of course. Maybe that could be a little bit of a championship thing. Smoke from off of turn number 4. Somebody had spun out earlier. Maybe Jeremy Davis? No, Michael Goddard probably. I'm not seeing those two around. Everyone looks a-okay, so maybe a quick spin for somebody.
Yeah, it looks like everybody's gathered it up, though. We've got a good battle back here for the 6th position. You've got the 51 of Ryan Matthews on the bottom, Wilkinson in the 56 car up top. And it looks like Matthews is going to take the spot. Meanwhile, up in front of them, 62. Around the 60, that's Mahar versus Medeiros.
And both those drivers had essentially a battle lasting as long as that last one for 6th place between the 51 and the 56. I see a small pattern here. Two drivers within the 60s battling against each other, swap position. Same with the drivers within the 50s battled against each other and swap position. So almost in full numerical order, unless you're Brad Mayhart. In that case, you're in front of Medeiros. Matthews, however, in 51 in front of the 56 numerically. Cameron Hamlin under fire on the top side, though, from that number 57 of Connor Blaze for 13th.
Yes, he is, and that's a really good battle off of 2 right there. But Blaze holding strong in that CarQuest 57 off of 2. It looks like he's going to try to do the same off of 4. He does, and they will continue side by side into 1.
And stay side by side in the turn 1, and look at that momentum that the 57 got off of turn 2 for a few moments on the back straightaway. We'll see it again probably as the 09 hits the pit row as Jeremy Davis. He could have had that quick spin earlier on, and a little bit of a ballop ahead. That looks like it's going to single file out, so this is pretty much almost the only battle on track that is side by side.
But look at who's in front of them right there. It's the 37. That's Bills. That's your pole sitter. He is just dropping to the back. I'm not sure what's going on with that car. But I mean, he is going nowhere fast.
Yeah, he really lost a lot of momentum. He almost made contact with the 57 twice there, actually, within that lap. But he's going on strong. So, considering that everything is going great right now, we're not going to take a break as of yet. Probably within about 10 or so laps. But we will continue just watching the action and seeing anything that happens. But right now, everything seems to be going A-okay. And a little bit of side-by-side battle. Look at this. The 11 is the only one not within the battle. So this is essentially a little bit of a kind of a 5 pattern, if you will. 2 side-by-side in front, 1 single file within the middle of that, 2 side-by-side in the back. It's a nice little pattern to see, but that's going to get broken up as Connor Hamlin gets passed by the 57 Blaze coming off of turn number 4.
Yes, he does. Meanwhile, Bills continues to fall back. I'm riding on board with him right now in my own sim right here, just trying to figure out what that car is doing. It doesn't outwardly look bad. You know, the car isn't, it doesn't look extremely tight. It doesn't look like the back end's coming around like it's loose. It just looks kind of slow. So I don't really know what's going on for him, but I'm sure he's looking forward to that halfway point so he can come in, maybe put some tires in that thing, and make some adjustments. Can't make a lot of adjustments in these cars, but even some tire pressure would probably be you know, a welcome change at this point for him.
Yeah, he would definitely want some new tires. He almost gets bumped in the back by the 11 to Morgan as well. My goodness.
Yeah, that was tight. Oh, he gets into him. He spins it out.
Oh, no. Morgan involved. 77-83 get a piece of it as well. Remember I said everything was going to be A-okay for the time being? Well, I was right, and in a way was right. That's for the time being.
Well, for Bills, it's okay. He actually made out pretty well right there, but for Morgan in that 11 car, heavy front end damage for him.
Yeah, we saw that just as it happened as well. Morgan took a heavy shot to the outside, 77-83. 77 really got turned around from that contact.
Yeah, he sure did right there. And it happens so fast, too, with these cars. The front ends are so low and the rear ends are still pretty jacked up. Bumpers don't line up, and it's so easy to spin somebody out. And when you're on top of each other like they were right there, it's hard to avoid.
That's really difficult to avoid, so hopefully these drivers can repair it as quick as possible and repair it as much as possible. Remember, there are no fast repairs, so all these drivers have to be pretty careful in terms of what they do and where they position their car as well.
Yeah, especially this early on in the race too, you don't want to do anything that's going to adversely affect the rest of your night. We talked about it in the qualifiers. We talked about risk versus reward. Do you make the pass? Do you stay in line and conserve a little bit and be patient, knowing that you can possibly get around that guy later on? Those are all thoughts that go through the mind of a driver, whether it be in the simulation or in real life. And sometimes you just have to know when to hold back a little bit and be patient and when to go. And right there, I think that was just a case of Morgan being a little bit overzealous, biting off a little bit more than he could chew. And unfortunately, He really got the worst of it damage-wise, so he'll be 2 laps back here. Not sure if he's going to be able to recover from that. But either way, though, Gary, and we can't lose sight of it, it's a big accomplishment to even make it into this race. So for him, 29th right now is not going to be what he's looking for, but he should still be proud of where he's gotten this week.
Yeah, Morgan did a great job. He started the week off insanely strong with the win at Volusia. So, again, just insanely strong. He kept up his momentum for the most part, enough to get into this race. And unfortunately, it's gone up in smoke a little bit, almost quite literally. So, just going to wait to see if he can somehow get that back out on track. But for the time being, we should be getting a 1 to go signal this time around. Just got confirmation that there are absolutely 0 brakes whatsoever. So maybe a little bit of miscommunication, but nonetheless, though, no brakes whatsoever. So the only brakes that we get are cautions or actual voice brakes over on our side. That would have been interesting, though.
That's a long race.
Yeah, but hey, we did get through the first, 40 laps, 45 laps pretty quickly.
Yeah, we did. And hopefully this caution doesn't lead to a slew of quick cautions after that. It's frustrating for the drivers. I know I've been in that position before, and it's not great for the guys viewing it at home too. So green flag is back out. Let's see what we can do here. Good jump for the leader. We'll see how Mullis can hold up against the competition.
Look at Allman. He's going to make his own lane. Well, you know, he almost did. He almost made his own lane through the middle. He'll move to the inside for second. Can't get any momentum, though. Already 150 laps to go. Nope, 200 laps to go this time by. Now it's 199, so an estimated 1 hour remaining, give or take. And I say estimated because, well, I'm just going off of what ATVO says. So, again, long night tonight, but it's going to be very, very exciting to see what comes of it as well, especially with the track change and the rubber and, hello, close contact, especially with Medeiros and Jr., or Schaefer Jr., I should say. Caldwell Jr. is right behind him.
And Schaefer's fallen back in quite a few spots here. He was looking pretty comfortably in the top 5. Now he's right on the verge of falling out. He's in 5th. With a lot of pressure behind from Jim Caudill, the 23 of Pataska, and the 51 on the outside. That's Ryan Matthews battling him.
And they're both going to be side by side as much as they can be. And that could, side effect of what happened from that number 6, it could have been just that caution that cooled down the tires enough, and pretty much just to the point of, well, now it's going to be everyone restarting side by side instead of single file. And still, Matthews tries to hang on to that 7th place spot, but he'll fall back to 8th as there's another battle somewhere back here in the pack. Side by side, that's going to be between the 66 of Krikorian and the 13 of Roush.
It looks like Roush is going to keep it on the bottom here, and actually Roush, it's a pretty good move for him too. He started 29th in the field tonight. He's working the 18th position right now and trying to get 17th away from Krikorian in the 66, so good advancement so far for Roush. The car looks clean, so good on him there. Ty Majeski is a few cars up the road in the 91, so he's back a little bit further than we've seen him for most of the night, but he's going to work to the bottom of the 7. That would be for the 15th spot.
Yeah, watching this battle, it's actually, 15th, so you are correct. But Krikorian trying to somehow capitalize on this as you watch the battle from on board. 91 got way too low on the apron, lost some momentum there, and we saw that from the onboard camera from the 66. So it's going to take a little bit of, it's going to take a little while, but as we look back up front to Medeiros, well, I was looking at the intervals, and everyone's really single filed out for the most part, unless you're Tim Bills and Drew Krybick. Then in that case, well, you are side-by-side battling for position, lucky number position 12, actually. No, 13th. So, lucky number 13 for somebody to get an extra dollar. So, don't forget, everyone gets a payout. And 11 through 12, through 11 through 20th, I should say. Wherever you finish, you could get an extra dollar out of it.
Extra dollar? Yeah. Hey, we'll take anything we can get, right?
Yeah, you never know what you could do with an extra dollar. I mean, that thing, that works wonders.
The bag of M&Ms, man.
Well, Krybick is going to get that extra dollar for 13. Nope, never mind. He slid way up the racetrack, so I thought he was going to get that for a second. But Tim Bills capitalizes on that with the inside lane, and somehow, I'm not going to say it because I feel like a commentator's curse is going to happen, so I'll hold off on saying that until it actually happens. But nonetheless, position at 13, still battling side by side, and just directly behind them, that's Ty Majeski and Kyle Souza is in that number 7. They're single file out, and Sammy Welsh involved in this. So essentially, this is kind of like the back half of the field.
Yeah, there's some really good racing in the mid portion of this pack right now. Up front, it's pretty much status quo. We do have a battle here between Jim Caudill and I believe that's Medeiros. Yes, it is, in the 60 car. Front stretch Mafia number 60. Side by side right here for the last spot in the top 5. Right now, Caudill has the advantage into 3.
Yeah, he's got that advantage as much as possible. There's Morgan in pit road that we see, unfortunately, heavy damage on the right front. So he did manage to get back out on track and running, but for how long is the question. But it's very unfortunate that he's come this far, and unfortunately he's already out this early for the time being. Not officially out, but just off the racetrack, and still side by side. I think the top line is starting to come in just a little bit, and I keep saying top line. Well, it's not the Kyle Larson line, as well everyone's already referred to that. So top line is now officially the middle line, and the inside lane stays as it is. But my goodness, that 60 is working that middle lane up to the best of his abilities, and he is doing a great job.
Yeah, he definitely is, and I'd be curious to see how high that line goes over the course of the night. Right there you can see the 60 gets a really good launch off of 2. That's fresh pavement up there, and it's cooler than that on the bottom. But there's still another lane and a half up there, and I think the very, very top is not going to be usable here tonight. It's just too long of a distance around this racetrack. But I think a little bit higher entry with that really low exit off is going to be good. But Medeiros, man, he's flying on the top. He's going to get around Schaefer possibly as he hooks his right rear off of 4.
He's running the equal lap time last time around. No, this time around, well, when I say equal lap time, this time I mean literally equal lap time. With a 16.867 to that of the leader. So, of Jimmy Mullis, he's 0.6, almost 0.7 seconds ahead, now 0.6 of second place of Colin Allman. So I'm pretty sure Keith has already found something, and we'll check the line that, well, maybe not. We'll take a look back at this battle for 4th place. I think Keith barely got the wall off turn number 2, so we'll keep an eye on this battle as they're still side by side.
Now, eventually, though, that top is probably going to go away a little bit, and the bottom will come back in, and it'll stabilize. We saw that in the Peak Series a lot this year. We'd start at the bottom, we'd move up as pretty much as high as we could go, and then once that got hot and rubbered in, the line would move back down. But right now, it looks like Medeiros still has some good speed up top. He's so close to clearing Schaefer off of 2, and he may do it this time. Does he move down? No, he doesn't. Smart move, though, only 73 laps into this thing.
Yeah, it's a very smart move to not really chance anything this early on, and again, still somehow keeping that top side is Medeiros. He'll finally get by, and there goes Caldwell Jr. on the top side along with. My goodness, that's going to be absolutely insane to see it later on in this race.
Yeah, and right now these guys are testing it. They're trying to see just how much time they can make up top. Now, I'd be curious, does Medeiros continue to run that top, or does he go back down to the bottom to make lap time? He chooses the middle. So Medeiros in the 60 car, he really thinks that middle is the way to go. Caudill, however, cuts it low to see if he can make pass.
Now watching this from on board the number 6, and this could be something a little bit common tonight, watching battles from on board, but right now, for the time being, back to TV cameras as well. Caldwell takes to the low side, and my goodness, that is absolutely that is way too insanely close, even for my comfort. And again, I'm just sitting up here, and I'm just sitting here commentating the race. I'm not actually racing. If I was racing, I'd probably hit the wall by now. So it is amazing to see how close they can get. And that faded white line is about as close as you can get to that inside wall. And well, we have the pit exit cone mauled a few times last night, about 4 to 5 times. We may see it again with everyone trying to get some grip on the low side.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough too, and I think what we're seeing with Caudill right now, he's found a groove that's extremely low off of the corners, even lower than the lowest car we've seen so far, but I think it's cooler down there, and I think he's found a little bit of speed doing that. But there comes a risk with that too. If you get too low and you catch the apron, you lose a ton of time, and we've seen quite a few cars do that throughout the week as well.
Yes, risk versus reward, and well, if you take a high risk, you might get a high reward, or probably a high risk and absolutely no reward whatsoever. So Caldwell finally gets by, battle just right behind them between Dallas Patasco. He's starting to move his way up, and Oh, don't forget, still between Colin Allman and Dallas Pataska, they still have a very large gap essentially between the both of them. Pataska is battling for 8th right now. He currently sits live timing in 9th, as Allman is currently in 2nd, trying to fend off Brad Mahar ever so slightly for the time being.
Yeah, Allman is still right there in the mix. He's in 2nd right now, and he's moved up quite a bit from the start. Again, he started in row number 6. In the 11th spot, he'll give up a spot to Mahar, but still net gain of 8 on the night so far for the 67 car. So good gains for him. And like you had mentioned before, the battle between him and Pataska, you know, Dallas is still back in that 9th spot, so still some work for him to do if he wants to gain that $25 bonus for beating out Colin tonight.
Yeah, extra $25 plus the extra, what is that, $150 for 2nd. Nope, scratch that. $100 for 3rd, actually, since he just got passed by that 62. So that's all I said for the time being. Quick passes being made here just off camera as well. So, oh, speaking of which, quick pass may be happening. Pataska getting passed by the 56 of Wilkinson, so that's going to be $125 for now for Colin Allman. But Pataska tries to fend off that 9th place position on the top side, and it could work. It just depends on the setup is, well, set up.
Yeah, and right now is where we're going to see who's really got a good long-run car and who's going to fade a little bit. I think the 23 is fading just a bit. He made his way up into the 8th or 9th spot, but has stabilized and is now pretty much holding up the 3 cars behind him. That's Wilkinson, Blaze, and Canfield. So it definitely looks like he's got a little bit of a speed issue right now in that 23 car. But we've seen things be pretty fluid here over the last couple of days. Some cars seem to just come and go, like the flip of a switch. So you know, maybe Dallas can still find something, but right now he's struggling on the top side.
And he's really struggling. That's going to hold up Connor Blaze on the top side. You got loose off turn number 2 there. Just ever so slightly. Saw the back end fishtail around there for a few moments' time. Brad Mahar has a, well, actually no, Jimmy Mullis has a 1.6 or so second gap to Brad Mahar for the time being for that lead. You'll see it on the ticker once it cycles back through to the lead, or in my case, stop it and then it'll just restart itself here in a few moments. So middle driver on the ticker, there's the gap, 1.649 seconds. And this update is about 5 seconds worth of updating ever so slightly. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what Brad Mahar can do if he can catch up. But Mullis right now, he's been in the lead pretty much ever since the restart.
Yeah, Mullis and Mahar, even Allman too, they're all running pretty much the same lap times here. We'll compare speeds at the line and see who had the fastest lap out of the top 3. Mullis comes around, he runs a 16.94, a 94 for Mahar, and a 96 for Allman. So all within 200ths of one another. And Gary, you know, 200ths consistently, that's not going to bring you up to the bumper of Mullis, but you never know. Again, one guy's car might be a little bit later way into this run here, and he might be able to take tenths off, but for now, they're all within about a half a tenth or so of each other.
They're trying to somehow find some type of a way to really get any momentum whatsoever. That's what Chris Canfield is doing right now for 11th place as he moved to the inside to try and get by that 57, but for the time being, again, not working out. It's going to take a while for some of these cars to get set up and set in. Contact, though, between the 56 and 23, almost 3 wide for a few moments there. And that's why the TV3 cam exists over on the top of this booth, because, oh my goodness, that was a bit too close for comfort for the 56, and more than likely the 23. That would put him out of that battle for 25 between he and Allman, but still hanging on, though. I mean, the worst that could have happened for the 56 was a donut mark on the passenger side door.
Yeah, that was not quite a slide job, if you will, but that was a pretty deep entry by Wilkinson right there. But he knew that if he could clear the 23, he'd be able to drive away, but hitting the apron right there is not going to help. Bam! Down the back stretch, 23 into the back of the 56. But again, Wilkinson knows he's got to protect the top, but he is getting shoved around like a pinball right now. But he's got it, though. He saved it. Good job by all of them to keep it straight.
That was twice now. We really saw that thing wiggle off of turn number 4. Well, that was absolutely insane. That was a wreck, but also not a wreck at the same time. So he's going to try and get behind the 57. He makes contact, though, moves the 57 in a way out of the way, but at the same time, he's trying to say, hey, not really happy with what's going on right here. So this is going to get pretty heated. This is already heated at this point, so it's going to get quite interesting.
Quick update on those who are following the 83 Benefield. He has pulled it off in the evening. He is 18 laps behind. So I believe he might have picked up a little bit of damage from the first incident. So he has decided to call it quits. So 83 cars out of the running, but still a great battle back here, you know, around 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. Majeski is trying to come through here as well. He's running deeper in the pack than I think anybody had expected him to at this point. Still a long way to go though, but Gary, I think what we're seeing for the most part is, I don't think a lot of these guys made this long of a run in practice. And this is an extremely long run of tires, and maybe some of them weren't exactly prepared for what the cars would do on the long runs with the fall off and the handling. And we're seeing some extremely ill handling cars out here. The 56, the 57, and the 23, they are just out of control almost, but they're holding on well, but unfortunately they're giving up a lot of lap time to your leaders right now.
Yeah, they're trying to, wow, the 23 was all over that back bumper of the 56, trying to get by him, but that wasn't going to work out, unfortunately. So 23 Pataska tries to somehow get around, but it's not going to work for the time being again. And yeah, like you mentioned, Michael, the thing is, a lot of these drivers have ill-handling race cars. When we saw that with the 12 of Krivik there, he was right up against that driver's side door. The 56 again slides up in turns 3 and 4. And almost slides up again, sliding in right behind. Probably going to return the favor a little bit with a bumper.
Hang on to it.
Saved it.
3 wide.
Oh, boy.
Hold on. Now, is he going to repay the favor to the 56 now?
I'd rather
Yes,
not.
He
might.
Yes,
he might.
Unbelievable.
Oh, he's going to pay for it.
Saved
it. Again.
Good racing.
Remember I said this was going to get heated? I was right when I said this is going to get heated because, well, that's going to send the 12 back, and he's probably kicking himself for that. I was going to say it's a little bit too early on to really start battling like that, or air quote repaying the favor. But hey, This is Five Flag Speedway. It's a short track, so it's kind of normal.
It's
so
super late model.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't see why not.
Nature of the beast, but again, risk versus reward.
Yeah.
You're probably a little too early to use the bumper full well. You know that he's gonna come and pay you back if you can't get away, and those guys unfortunately just cost each other a lot of time. To put this into perspective, all right, Krivik is 10 seconds behind Jimmy Mullis, our leader. It's a 17-second lap. He's only 7 seconds from being lapped right now, so these guys in the mid-pack, yeah, the racing's awesome, and it's great for us watching, but for them, it's not good because they're costing themselves a ton of time to the leaders.
And side by side, and coincidentally next to Samuel Roche, who is being a lot more careful. We noticed that he's been riding pretty much in the back under the top 10 for a majority of this race as he almost makes contact, almost turns the 12 off of turn number 4 unintentionally as he slid up the racetrack. We barely saw it from that camera angle, but my goodness, we could see the visible back off from that 13. I was going to say he's taking a very slow approach to that top 10, to the upper positions ahead of him, so he's really taking his time, and it's a smart move because remember, he had a lot of bad luck, I believe twice, maybe 3 times last night, and yeah, he's gonna fall back again. So this could be again just another effect of running a lot longer than expected.
Yeah, and honestly though, as much time as I thought these guys were losing to the leader, they're only 2, maybe 3 tenths off a lap, which doesn't seem like a lot. It is, relatively speaking, with how short the lap is, but what that means is everybody essentially is running the same lap times. I mean, they're hundredths apart. That's why they're all just stacked up on top of each other, and they can't pass easily because we've got such a stout field of 30 really good super late models here tonight. It's hard to pass because there's no separation speed, so that's making a track that's already tough to pass at even more difficult.
It's making it insanely difficult. I'm pretty sure some of these drivers really don't want anything to happen again. We've only had 1 caution throughout this entire race, and that was about lap 40. So as we're getting close to the halfway point, and everyone's still, again, relatively single file, save for pretty much anybody in the midfield. They've also single filed out for the most part. So this could be the essentially the calm before the storm portion of the race. And right when I say that, I saw a few drivers looking to the inside. Yep, there's going to be Brendan Wilkins looking to the inside. The 23 Pataska for the time being, but not really right there, so nothing really to worry about for that 23.
But if you go on board with Derek Robinson, if you're able to at some point, and you look out the back of that car, Jimmy Mullis is there. Mullis is about a second off the back of this field, and not only is that going to start putting these guys a lap down in the back, but it's going to bring the whole field closer to Mullis. Mullis is in clean track. He's able to dictate his pace, run the line that he wants to run, and he can make lap time, and he's doing just that. Get to the back bumper of Robinson and Clark, and these guys, they're not just going to move over and let him by. There's no free pass. There's really no opportunity to get back around to the lead lap here with as few cautions as we're having. So Mullis is going to be there in a few laps, and that's going to slow him up, and then all of a sudden you're going to see Mahar and Allman and Medeiros, all of those guys are going to close right back up in the 40 car, and we're going to have a 4 or 5-way battle for the lead before too long.
Yeah, that 4 to 5-way battle is going to be absolutely insane to look at. I'm now looking on the board of Jimmy Mullis to see the tail end of the field, essentially, in the form of Derek Robinson. And Jimmy Mullis has a lot of space to really work with as well. Not just the clear track, but we can see the visible spacing between the other drivers that are in front of him, essentially at the back of the field. So Mullis could really take this to his own advantage, and again, just adapt his pace just a little bit to accommodate for these drivers that he's about to pass in a few laps time. But aside from that, he should be just fine.
And he should be, and luckily for him, there's quite a bit of spacing between these cars at the back, at the very back of the field here. Robinson has about 7 or 8 car lengths in front of him to Clark, and then Clark has another 5 to 6 in front of him to LeDuc. So they're not tightly packed together like the midfield is. That's going to make Mullis's life easier, but it all depends on how easy Robinson wants to make it on Mullis here as far as letting him by. If Robinson wants to put up a fight, he's not really that slow. I mean, he's only a 1/10 and a half off of Mullis, so his lap times are great. It would be hard for Mullis to make a clean pass at this point.
He is running the same line. That's what Derek Robinson is doing. Mullis was loose off turn 4 there. We saw that visibly loose. We saw that front end move around just ever so slightly, seeing the brake rotors glow in the front tires as well. Robinson is going to force Mullis up to the middle lane now and drifts up a little bit. I think Robinson wants to say, well, if you want to pass me, you're going to have to do it the hard way, and that's exactly what Robinson is doing. He doesn't want to give up his lead lap position, more than likely expected, but right now we're just coming around to the halfway point, so we'll see if Derek Robinson can survive until halfway at the start-finish line, and he won't, just ever so slightly. He just put 1 lap down, so 125 laps complete, 125 laps remaining, and it's just now getting started. This is the time where we expect some of these drivers to start heading to pit road in about what, 75 laps to go, 70 laps to go?
Yeah, they can do about, what, 180 on fuel or so?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, about 70 laps or so to go, they can pit. The question, though, is, do you pit earlier to take tires and try to undercut the guys that stay out? There's about a half a second to probably 3/4 of a second worth of lap time in brand new tires. So if you can come in a little bit earlier, you take the risk of possibly being trapped a lap or 2 down if the caution comes out, but the reward is you're going to be so far ahead of those guys that stayed out, there would be no way possible that they can run you back down. It's Robinson really tight off the 4, almost into the side of the 40, but finally Mullis gets around.
And then he backs off, understandably so. So that was very good sportsmanship, saying, well, I got loose, so I'm just going to back off here and not ruin your race. And look at that. I think JD, you're probably going to be really proud that that car is still basically without a single scratch on that, aside from a few bugs here or there, some rubber, but it's fine. So not really anything major, I should say. Maybe just a few specks here or there. But Mullis now has a 3-second gap to the 62 of Brad Mahar. And that is a very, very large gap. You can barely see Mullis actually as we're riding on the back bumper. He likes to turn 2 right here, and Mahar just barely in the middle of turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, and honestly, even with all that side-by-side battling, Mullis didn't lose a lot of time. So Mullis is driving a great race, but he's got a great car under him too. So hats off to those guys. They put together a heck of a piece. And he's flying right now, and he's going to work to the back bumper of the Donald Clark machine. That's the 18 of Clark, and then the 27 of the Duke. They're side by side. That's going to slow him up a little bit, but he moves to the bottom of Clark here, and it looks like he should be able to get by pretty easily.
I was about to say that both of them battling side by side was really not going to work. Watch, these two are going to go right back to battling, and I called it right away. This is for, we're going to double check that position there for a few moments time. That's the 18 and the 27 battling side by side for position number 25. I mean, they're going to both earn $10 either way, but I'm pretty sure Clark wants to say, well, you know what, I was just that bit faster than you at this time, so face it and live with it until next year. So it's going to be, again, just another interesting thing to look at. So looking back through the field, side-by-side battle between Majeski and Schaefer. Schaefer's slowly starting to fade back just a little bit, but he has retained that top 10 for pretty much ever since the restart, actually, and battling behind both of them as well between Pataska and David Krikorian.
Yeah, and as far as Schaefer goes, piggybacking off of his pre-race interview there, he said he wanted to be top 5 at the halfway break, or, well, not really a break, but halfway point. He's in 9th, so a little bit behind where he had expected to be, but again, the night is still young, a long way to go here. Just looking outside the top 10, like you were talking about, Canfield, Blaze, Pataska, Krikorian in the 66 and the Doucet in the 77, all tightly packed together, and one mistake by any of those guys could open the door for those behind them.
Yeah, one small mistake and it's pretty much all over for that number 6, so he's got to be, again, he is playing it careful. He did eventually let the 91 by, but definitely not without playing up a respectful, clean, and spaced out fight. But aside from that, though, Jimmy Mullis currently leads here at Five Flag Speedway. We're going to take a little bit of a voice break for the time being, so this action is something that you will not be missing whatsoever, as this is the 4th annual SARA Fall Brawl. 250 laps at Five Flag Speedway total, with 110 laps to go. Once Jimmy Mullis has crossed the line this time around, he's been in the lead ever since the restart on lap 50. Back live here at the 5 Flag Speedway with 99 laps remaining, and already a very interesting strategy by some of these drivers. As you saw, Joe Schaefer Jr. and Brad Mayhar have already went to pit road, and appears to only have been fuel only for Schaefer. So like Michael and I were mentioning just over the small break that we were having, is that some of these guys are probably going to get, well, you mentioned, Michael, I should say, that these drivers are going to be pitting to get away from the drivers in the mid-pack.
Yeah, and as slow as those pit stops were there, I'm not even sure if undercutting to take tires to try to get an advantage over those who are staying out
Ethan
is
Dyer
an
was pit
advantage.
road. Same with Colin Allman.
We need to watch how slow these tire pit stops are. Right now, Schaefer is a full lap ahead of Mahar because he didn't take tires. Now, Mahar might be able to make up that gap, but still, that's a large gap to make up in less than 100 lap.
See if the 60 decides to take tires. No, I'm not seeing the right sides go up yet. Only one set can be used there. Go the right sides. And assuming only one set. We did get information, though, about with 105 laps to go ever so slightly, it should be 30 to 40 more laps before everyone will have to pit for fuel. Caution is out.
Ooh,
This is great for the 60, though.
That's going to kill Mahar and Schaefer, because they are multiple laps down. That is not going to be good for them. Unfortunately, that's at the misfortune of the epic marketing number 12 of Drew Krybick. He was around in the backstretch.
We will get that replay up, and well, just in case, since you mentioned it, Michael, it was 30.5 seconds for a 4-tire pit stop, possibly including fuel, but maybe not, because the caution did come out. So we don't really know as of yet, but we will get that replay up of the number 12 with his incident on the back straightaway.
Yeah, the Sim Marketing Solutions 56 of Wilkinson, who we had seen get into it with Krybick a little bit earlier on.
They got loose in turn 1.
Yeah, no, he booted him out of the way right there.
Oh, well, man, that's a mixed
Time to
reaction there from me. But yeah, you're right. It is under halfway, so I'm going to take another look at that from a different angle. Yeah, second caution, 56 gets loose, 12 overshoots into the corner, makes it 3 wide from the 56, and calls it too early. That may be a racing incident, but also karma in terms of number 12. Many drivers, though, in the pit road right now.
Yeah, this is the perfect opportunity for everybody to pit under the caution, won't lose laps. This is exactly what people need to do. However, though, Jimmy Mullis is still sitting there. I believe he's taking tires. But does he get out first, though? It doesn't look like it.
He did not.
Doesn't look like it at all.
He didn't get out first at all. First driver out of pit road was actually the 20. No, it's a 32 Trevor Edwards. I don't think he even went to. No, he did go to his pit stall actually. Picture coming back up as we're reviewing. Well, not really reviewing, but taking a look at the pit exit. There's a 32, and the black and yellow comes off of pit road first. The second off looks to be, ooh, that was a race for second off, 56, 92, 7, 77, 91, 23, 66, 40, 37, or the 37, the 40. Because the 37's pit stall is right on the edge of pit road, right on the edge of the pit road exit.
And then Majeski in the 91 car
And he's up in the lead.
not to pit. Yeah, he didn't pit. But I don't know how that's going to work because you need fuel. And I think pitting later on in this race, yeah, he'll have tires potentially and fuel, but I don't know if he can make up that much track position, though. That's an interesting call on his part.
Well, it is 1 lap to green, so that's something we're going to find out. Trevor Edwards up to second with 14.3 seconds on his pit stop. So, well, this could be quite interesting. I don't think, if it's only 14.5 seconds essentially, that could have been 2 tires maybe, and delayed caution. Not sure as of
one of our admins delayed it there. Maybe the back of the field isn't caught up yet, so they're going to give it one more lap here. Wilkinson to the back of the pack. He took responsibility for that accident, so he'll go to the end of the longest line, though. Not a lot of damage on that car, and he's still got a long way to go, so he'll be okay. But yeah, we should be going back to green this time by.
Yeah, with 88 laps to go. This is going to be a interesting restart. Again, the 91 has old tires, and the person that's made the most pit stops so far tonight was the 32 of Trevor Edwards, 3 pit stops, most of which probably for fuel. So this is going to be quite interesting. Pace car pulls off. Watch out for the old tires on the 91. 7 gets way loose, and that's Souza. He somehow saves it. He's going forward, though, but that's going to really shuffle the field. Look at Sammy Roush. He's up in 7th.
Yeah, Roush is up to 7th. This whole field has been shaken up big time. Keep an eye on Jimmy Mullis. He's back to 13th right now, way off the front, so it's going to be an uphill climb for him to get back up there. But meanwhile, you've got Majeski and Edwards trying to make something happen here in the second half.
At time Majeski, here comes Ryan Doucet, though, to the inside for the lead, and trying to stick it to him as Ryan Doucet after Majeski came off winning, and Majeski's just going to fall back off on the top side. Majeski won in the Tour Mods a couple nights ago on that Tuesday night. And right now, Dallas Pataska ahead of Colin Allman now, who currently sits, which is Allman, he sits all the way back in 23rd, so now it's a reverse of positions for both of those drivers.
Yeah, that's definitely a change of course too for as far as that battle is definitely going toward Allman. But like you said, the pit stops have really turned this race up on its head, and the guys that were in the back or in the mid pack are now up front and vice versa. So crazy how things can change so quickly.
Just from a caution as well, and a few different strategies, as almost making 3 waters of 30th Goddard. He backed out, almost got to the inside of the 32 of Edwards and to the outside of number 10, who was a few laps down. So a little bit of disorganization. I believe that's Cameron Hamilton. He's a lap down. So unless that is outside lane restarts, inside is going to be the drivers that are a lap down. But nonetheless, though, everyone's still single, well, not really single file, but relatively kind of single file. They're calm for the time being, at the very least.
That's the word. They're calm. They're calm. They're not single file at all here in the mid-pack, but they're giving each other some decent space, and there hasn't really been a lot of contact. So we've settled in here nicely after the restart again, run back through the top 10 here because it's changed so much. Doucet is the leader, Pataska's second, Roush third, Spearman and Majeski round out the top 5. Souza, Goddard, Edwards, Krikorian, and now Jimmy Mullis has found his way back into the top 10.
Oh, wait a minute, because Krikorian almost slid up. Oh, well, he almost got slid up into by the number 12, who's about a lap or 2 down. That's Drew Krybick. He's 2 laps down, 1 lap down, sorry, second place in terms of drivers that are a lap down. So, yeah, everyone's relatively calm, but still side by side, but that is from a few of the lap cars. But Ty Spearman is trying to stay in front of Samuel Roush, gets passed by at 67, and I believe that's a 67 Colin Allman. He scored 23rd. He is 2 laps down, so definitely for the time being, that $25 battle goes to Pataska, who currently sits in 2nd.
And it's going to be virtually impossible for Allman to make up those laps. I don't really see that happening, but now, if he can make up one by himself right now, that might make it easier to try to get the second one back later. Maybe stay out when the leaders pit, but I don't foresee the leaders really pitting again after this. So, not sure how that's going to work out for him. But hey, he's trying. He's not giving up, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, Allman wants to get his laps back the old-fashioned way, and like you mentioned, I don't blame it at all. Might as well do it back the old-fashioned way if it's not going to happen on that. Well, it probably does actually. We just didn't really catch up on that, but if Cameron Hamilton is somehow back on the lead lap, then we'll know. So some of these drivers that are a few laps down, though, they probably could stay out and then just opt to not pit, hope for another caution. But this is the second caution we've had, and the only caution that we've had so far in the second half of this race, essentially. So that's quite interesting.
Look out! Oh, look out in the back by Mullis. They saved it, but man, they lost a lot of time back then. Hard.
Oh boy.
And 53.
Huge mess.
Field all those. Yeah, they were just sideways off the 4, but they saved it, and no caution. Keep going.
Huge mess of cars, not cards, I believe is what I said by mistake, but didn't see that happening. But we'll stick with this because this is going to be quite interesting to take a look at. Mullis is on a tear right now, or trying to at the very least, and he's doing a great job at that. He's finally come off the top of that. And, oh, no, there goes the 12 around. Yeah, this is going to be big.
No caution yet. Yellow flag is now out. And that really wasn't Krybick's fault either. It looked like maybe Caudill got into the back end off of 2. We'll have to see here on the replay. Definitely got some help.
Probably, yeah. I'm going to take a look at this. I said this is going to be big. I expected the 12 to come back up into everybody else after a vicious hit off the wall. And yeah, just a bit of miscommunication. And that's when I thought the 12 was going to slide up into everybody else. But everyone did a great job staying up into the middle lane. So I take a ride on board from the number 1 of Caldwell. And more than likely, of course, didn't have anything to do with that. So nothing intentional, I should say. Now for turn number 2, and yeah, just a little bit of a lane miscommunication in a way, in terms of car placement, essentially.
Yeah, just a little bit of contact right there, but unfortunately, it's again magnified by the way these bumpers don't line up. But luckily for Krybik, though, not really a lot of damage for what could have been right there on that inside wall. So he'll get it spun back around, and you know, he's still very much in the hunt.
And it's very much in the hunt, and he definitely wants to try and capitalize on it as much as possible. Cameron Hamilton did get automatically waved around the pace car, and many drivers are in pit road, and the majority of them are in the back. Tim Bills again getting right side tires, and he is down in the way. I believe he was getting right side tires.
Yeah,
looks like it.
Jeski in as well, I believe. Yep,
yeah,
there he goes. So he finally pitted again. I don't quite understand that pit call. I probably would have pitted with everybody else too to maintain the track position, but I guess his thinking is he'll have fresher tires right here,
Schaefer's
and
in.
maybe he sees enough benefit in having those fewer lap fresher tires. I don't know. Time will tell on that one. But he's going to have an uphill battle though, because right now he's showing 14th. Majeski is, so that's a lot of cars to pass, and we're running out of time.
And we just got word that WND team is taking tires, so as well as apparently Schaefer Jr. He just took left side tires, not right side tires, so that's pretty going to be quite interesting. Well, what is WND? Well, no, he's going to come back into pit road. Made a sped? No, he left to serve that on the green. So, but WND Motorsports is wheeling and dealing. So that is as we take a look here, Tim Bills, as well as another driver, David Kokorian, and I believe a third in the form of Donald Clark. Yeah, there's a 37 taking, yeah, they're both taking the opposite tires. Tim Bills taking right side tires, or yeah, left side tires rather. Schaefer taking right sides, and that's to stay in front of the field. That's how long those cautions are. Or short, I should say, for the pace laps.
Yeah. Yeah, they sure are. We're going to get double filed back up here and get ready to go back to green. That'll be green flag in lap 185. So not a whole lot of time to go. We said this was a long race, but man, it's gone by quickly with how few cautions we've had.
Yeah, third caution. And time estimated remaining is currently stuck at 18.5 minutes. But hey, it's about to count down now as the green flag is back out underway. And as it jumps down 15 seconds for some reason, Samuel Roush is back up in the top 4.
Look out, look out.
This could be huge. 4 wide for
wide.
a few moments. Oh my goodness. 3 by 2. This is not going to end well. There they go. This is going to be huge.
Oh
my goodness.
That's Spearman right there. That's a lot. That's a lot of damage for him.
Spearman can somehow still drive away after that, but many drivers involved, and Samuel Roush is up to second, unofficially.
Yeah, Mullis up there in 4th. Majeski somehow made it through there. I think he's got a little bit of damage, but he made up quite a few positions and all of that too.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Majeski had somehow managed to get his way through there. That started with a 23 Pataska, who had enough bad luck as it was. It started pretty much off of turn number 2, I should say, on the restart, and that's where we're going to start from here in the TV3 camera once we get it back up. And here it is. So keeping an eye on the 23 Pataska gets clipped by Edwards ever so slightly, forced down to the inside. That's the 92, sorry, not Trevor Edwards. It's 92 Ty Spearman. 3 wide for a few moments. Mullis makes his way by ever so slightly. So he got really lucked out of that. Pataska somehow survives that. Everyone else in the back, well, not so much.
Yeah, I don't know how Mullis got through there. He was almost in the grass off of 2, 4 wide down the backstretch, 3 wide on the bottom right there, and I mean, the car behind him, Spearman, is the one that was, a couple feet up in the air there, flipping over. So if Mullis ends up pulling this one off, Gary, he's going to look back to that moment in this race and say, that's where it all could have went wrong.
Yeah, if he ends up pulling that moment off, that's definitely where that's going to go all wrong. He saw from the back bumper there the carnage that happened right behind him. Somehow, my goodness, he made it through. And thanks to AJ Rogers on the update that, of course, who Team WND is, we have gone through that. And right now, apparently AJ Rogers and Russell Brown didn't make it tonight, unfortunately. So good to know that at least you are here, AJ, watching this race over here in spirit. And same with everybody else that's watching throughout this entire week. Again, I'd like to thank everyone. And definitely would love to do this again sometime, because my goodness, this is going to be absolutely insane, because Sammy Rush has found himself from like 18th to 2nd for the time being. He started in 29th, that was second to last. I think he automatically, for now, wins that hardest charger award, so that's quite interesting.
Yeah, he's made up a ton of spots in this race, and there's still some time to make up a few more. So great job to him to come from that far in the back to where he's come. That's pretty impressive.
That's absolutely insane. Time remaining is frozen at 16 minutes 49 seconds to accommodate for the caution. Nope, scratch that. Counting down from 16.5 minutes. But my goodness, yeah, AJ definitely would have to agree. Competition is very tough in SARA here, and we've seen that. And you want to know who really is tough? Sammy Rush, because he's somehow up to second. This guy has persevered for the past 2 nights, basically, and so far, he's done a great job of that. 59 laps to go. We're almost within 200 laps of this race being completed. Pace car pulls out the Raceway. Don't count Jimmy Moss right behind as the green flag flies. Back underway for the 5th time tonight. Roush pulls away for 2nd, Bow for 3rd behind. Turkey Guy versus Kyle Souza, essentially.
Souza doesn't have a cool nickname or anything?
Not that I know of as of yet. I'll figure out something.
Yeah, nothing's cooler than Turkey Guy, but I think, does Souza have a pumpkin on his hood? Is that a pumpkin?
Not sure. Well, caution is out. That could be 5th caution, and a huge mess on the front straightaway. Oh gosh, this is a junkyard. Ooh.
Yeah, in case anybody was wondering, I think that's pumpkin.
Yeah, we'll get a shot of that. Oh no, the 6 is involved as well. Oh boy, this may have started with the
yeah.
6. Apologies for the black screen for a few moments, but that was Joe Schaefer Jr. here on the restart. We'll see. Could have happened in front. And
yes, it did. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He just got.
Oh man, yeah, that was Trevor Edwards, the 60, and oh man, who was that? Who was on the top side? Ah man, trying to get through to 27, but he got both sides completely ripped up. That was Justin Duke. That was the 60. Keith Medeiros also involved in that as well.
Yeah, Medeiros and Edwards, I think that's pretty much what started it right there. Yeah, 60 into the back of the 32 after Edwards had to check up pretty big time there off of 4, and unfortunately for Medeiros, didn't have enough time to react. And again, as tightly packed as these cars are after the restarts, there's just nowhere to go when they stack up like that.
Yeah, there's absolutely no place for them to go whatsoever, unfortunately. So I'm going to see if we can get somebody, probably Sammy Rush again, if he is available, and he probably is. So we'll see if we can talk to him, depending on if the lights go out or not. So we'll wait for the start-finish line, just to make sure, because we don't want to really ruin anybody's race, and they'll remain on. So Sammy Rush, do you have a copy on us?
Yes, sir.
Well, congratulations on making it to 2nd place for now from 29th. My goodness, how in the heck... Man, was that through pit strategy or just perseverance or a combination of both? Because that is absolutely amazing.
A little bit of both. The car is really good. It takes a little while to come in, but once the track gets really, really hot, it gets really hard to pass, too. We were staying out while everybody was kind of doing their green flag pit stops and caught the caution at the right time, and then I don't know what happened with Dallas and Ty there, but they had their thing, and I just went by them on the outside. And it's worked out so well. I know Jimmy's got a really fast car. I think I'm better than Ryan on the long run, especially with the adjustments I made, but we're pretty even there. He's a lot better on the short run, though, but we'll see what happens. It's been fun getting up here.
And it's fun watching this race as well. We're going to go ahead and let you go early on. We hope to talk with you later on tonight.
Thanks, guys.
And as far as Kyle Souza's car is concerned, that indeed is a pumpkin. So turkey guy versus pumpkin guy, essentially. In terms of Mullis versus Souza. Just for a little bit of a fun thing, I'd say.
Who do you think would win in a fight, a turkey or a pumpkin?
Well, obviously pumpkin, because it's no, hold on. I caught myself when I said that. Obviously turkey, because that is actually, you know, animate and it doesn't get... Oh, wait, no, never mind. I was about to say...
That's a tough question,
yeah, right when I realized Halloween and Thanksgiving were about... Yeah, alright then. Ooh, well, that's an interesting question. I guess I'll find out. Yeah, we'll find out at the end of the night, definitely.
There you go.
That'll work. So, 77, 13, 40, 23, 56, 7. Green flag back out. 52 laps to go. J.D. Laird, of course, already says turkey. Oh, well, he's right, because Kyle Souza just got forced up the racetrack by Wilkinson. Souza not going to be happy about that, more than likely, but still managing to go forward and strong, side by side. Yep, just saw that.
Oh, wreck in the back, off of 4, spinning out, yellows out. Looks like Allman clipped Krybik right there. Allman got loose in 3 and 4, and then unfortunately caught it by walking up the track, and that was right to the left rear of the 12. So another caution.
Was it more bad luck for the 12? And indeed it was. My goodness. Krybik cannot catch a break. Whatever. Start with a 10, break, accordion affecting with the 32, the 67, slides up the racetrack, clips somebody. Somebody spun out in the very back there. But quick spin brings out the 5th caution.
Well, what do they say, Gary, about caution? Say it for us.
Well, let's see. I believe the saying goes, cautions breed cautions.
Yeah, that it does. And we didn't really make that one come true, I guess you could say, after the first caution. But here, as of late, laps are winding down, time is running out, and these guys are just hungry to get as much track position as they can. And unfortunately, just a little bit too much contact to keep it straight.
Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting to see how the end of this race plays out as well, especially due to the fact that, again, like you mentioned, laps are winding down, so that means the aggression is going to be ramping up ever so slightly. Lap per lap, caution after caution, and I'm pretty sure, hold on a second, we're missing somebody. Nope, we're not. Sammy just fell back 1 position, so he's A-okay. As far as the 7 of Souza goes, well, doesn't look like he doesn't have any damage on the right-hand side of his car. Left side shows absolutely a little bit of front end damage, I believe. He's moving the car around, so it could be a little bit of damage. I'm not seeing anything from the onboard, so looks to be fine for the time being.
Yeah, and these are some tough cars too, so they can take a hit and keep going. So I think for those who received some moderate damage in that last wreck, I think you're going to be okay. But yeah, guys like Ty Spearman and hits like that, obviously can't really come back from that. But still have a lot of cars left. Got about probably 45 laps to go, and we get the green here. So not a lot of time, but got a lot of cars, and never know what can happen.
Yeah, you never know what could happen. So this is going to be the part of the race where you wonder, well, who's going to do what and who's actually going to take their time. Roush, of course, well, he only fell back 1 position, so he's fine. We just got word that Kyle Souza actually did just take tires, so that's why he went to pit road. So he's going to call it pretty early, so definitely going to say, well, late in the race, I should say, definitely saying, well, you know what, everyone's going to take tires, so then I'm going to take it a little later.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here. Majeski's got about 15, 20, maybe a little newer, maybe 25 lap newer tires than those in front of him. And he's already up to the 5th spot. So 91 has come to the front here, and he's peaking when the time is right. But here we go. Doucet, Mullis side by side coming to the green. Doucet gets the jump, but good restart by Mullis will hang in his right rear into 1.
Great start by Mullis, and yeah, like you mentioned, just barely hanging on to the right quarter panel. And unfortunately, he'll involuntarily back off more than likely. Just behind them, Roush trying to defend for 3rd place against Pataska, who is still in front of Allman, crashing in the back, and Spearman is not one of them. could be as we move through the drivers again. The 12 of Drew Krybik.
Yeah, Drew's having a tough night. Let's see what happens this time. He's on the outside of the 53, and yeah, 53 just runs into his door and around the 12 goes. Did a great job keeping it off the wall. But man, Drew Krybik cannot catch a break here in this 250 lap race.
Yeah, he can't do any. Yeah, he can't catch any break whatsoever. Great avoidance by 27 of Leduc, though. My goodness, after getting both sides scraped up earlier on in the fourth caution, he realizes, you know what? I'm just gonna lay back here. You guys have fun. That was amazing avoidance by the number 27.
Yeah, that was a good job by him right there. To get around that.
That looks absolutely beautiful, to be honest.
A little bit of chatter on the radio there. Race control reminding these drivers that you just keep it in line and keep the fenders on it and keep the green flag out. Put that caution flag away. No more cautions here tonight. Want to see this thing go green in the end.
Yeah, we've already had the modifieds. We don't need other modifieds essentially. So I can agree with them on that point.
Yeah, I could agree too. But yeah, nonetheless, these guys did a fantastic job at first. Really 65% of this race, just keeping it clean and racing each other, and there was contact, but they were keeping it straight. So right now they just need to all take a deep breath, regain their composure, and remember that the more cautions we have, the less time they're going to have to make up ground past cars. So hopefully we can get them straightened out and double file back up and see if we can't get some green flag laps in.
Yeah, apologies for the connection. Not sure if it's my end, because everything's fine over here, so probably just in general with everything, so just going to double check to make sure everything is a-okay. So yeah, stream is still up, so we're good. Apologies for that, but nonetheless though, this is going to be quite interesting. 39 laps to go, so now we're in the territory essentially of the heat races we had, was that just last night essentially, with the 60 lap heats. Qualifying races, I should say.
Yeah, it looks like we're about to go green here too, so we'll see what Doucet and Mullis can do on this restart.
Yeah, we're going to see, yeah, because he did hang up with that 77 of Doucet on the restart, so he did pretty great hanging on to that top side. The question is, can he hang on to the top side through a full lap, though? We're going to find that out. Mullis anticipating a little bit too far ahead. He'll have to lay back, and he does. That's going to hurt him on the restart slightly, but he still manages to stick with that 77, but he'll fall in behind, single file.
He'll get to the bottom right there. Roush picks up the third spot, or really maintains the third spot. Pataska on the top. Majeski on the bottom of the 91 car. Wilkinson behind him. Bumper to the back of the 13, but they keep it straight.
Yeah, it was really close with that bumper, and he'll slide almost into the 13, but we'll get to the inside of the 13 of Roush, and here comes Wilkinson in the 56. Really slides it into the corner and keeps it off at 23.
He did a good job right there. He realized that he had a little bit too much speed on entry and was going to wash up into the 23, and smartly backed off and got it cut down off 4. So good job, Wilkinson. His heads up driving right there. Majeski still trying to get around the 13 of Roush. He slides clear the 13 car, and here comes Pataska to try to make the move as well.
And Pataska getting to the inside, trying to capitalize and trying to follow through essentially with what the 91 did. Wilkinson want to do the same thing. It's like getting freight trained at a super speedway, but, well, worse, because nice at super speedway, you know there's an end to it. At a short track, well, it seems like it takes forever. So Samuel Roush, at least he is lucky though that there are openings at short tracks in terms of trains, if you will, and he'll almost get to the back one for that 56 and slide in. Tried to look to the inside for 5th, couldn't get it done, so he will stay behind. I saw a little bit of a side-by-side battle in the back here, and still going on between the 66 of Krikorian, but at 62, that's Brad Mahar, and he is actually not on the lead lap as well. He's 2 laps down, so that's quite interesting to see.
Yeah, Mahar pitted earlier during that green flag cycle, was 3 laps down. Unfortunately, that caution came out and trapped him several laps down. He's made one of those back, but for Mahar, really, his night is essentially over. There's just no way he can make up that time, but still, he's going to run the race out and have fun doing it. So, yeah, Mahar, really good run tonight. Fast car, unfortunately, just the circumstances didn't work out. But we got somebody on the top here in the mid-pack. That's Edwards working over Caldwell right there. That's the 1 of Caldwell and the 32 of Edwards. That's battle for 8th spot.
And they're just in front of Tim Bills as well. He's finding himself in the top 10, just rounding out the top 10, I should say, in 10th place. 30 laps to go, estimated under 8 minutes remaining as of now. So I say estimated because, of course, anything can happen. And we all know that one saying about something that has something to do with yellow. I'm not sure. Couldn't be a line, but I'm not going to jinx it. So right now, trying to capitalize on that top side is the 37 of Bills, but right now, well, he's doing a great job because Caldwell Jr. had slowed up just a little bit to let that 32 in.
And back up front, Doucet's pulling away from Mullis. I thought the 40 car would have a little bit more for Doucet, but right now, Mullis is about 3/4 of a tenth off of Doucet and about a 1/2 tenth off of Majeski. So that 40 car, not sure if he used up his stuff coming through the field, but it just doesn't look like he's got the pace he did earlier on in the race.
That's really unfortunate that he doesn't really have the pace for now. He could be saving that for later, though, so it is understandable that he's not really pushing as hard as he wants to right now and use it up for later on, just in case anything that does happen between now and the checkered flag. Still battling side by side, though. Bills and Caldwell Jr. A little bit of damage on the left front side of that number 1.
Yeah, there is, and there's been a lot of contact in the back of the pack. Caldwell was involved in one of the earlier incidents on the front stretch. He got collected in that, so it looks like he's struggling just a bit because of that damage. Bills, though, who we saw sit on the pole and then quickly fade back outside the top 15, has now moved his way back up into the top 10, and he takes that 9th place over from Caldwell in the 1.
And Kyle Souza trying to capitalize on the top side as well with that number 1, keeping that top side pretty much unusable for that number 1. So, really close there in turn number 2. That was way too close for comfort there, and somehow they leave each other without a scratch for the time being.
Yeah, that's what this track produces. It produces that tight racing, especially off the corners when the exit narrows up and the banking falls off. It's easy to kind of get door to door and make a little bit of contact, but they did a good job recognizing that and keeping it straight. But Caldwell still, though, is falling back, and it looks like he's going to find a spot in behind that 51 car right there. He'll take that position over from him.
Now finally get in front of that number 11, so hopefully everything goes well for everybody. And Doucet, well, he still has a 0.7.5 second gap with 20 laps to go. Gonna get up the gap comparison here, and there it is. Lap times on the right hand side. The driver names 0.816 seconds and a 16.611 versus a 16.622. Well, 0.11 seconds slower is unfortunately Jimmy Mullis as compared to Ty Majeski, though. Well, Majeski slowly starting to creep in, and lap times are virtually equal, and 0.03 of a second faster was Mullis that time around.
Yeah, so the top 3 are essentially running the same lap times, and as we had seen earlier in the race, Mahar behind Mullis trying to catch him when he was still somewhat close. When you break even or only run a few hundreds faster, there's just no way to effectively make up time. And right now, Doucet has good pace. So does Mullis and Majeski. Nobody's really standing out as far as lap time right now. So if all stays the same, I think the best battle at the end here is going to be between Majeski and Mullis for second. But you never know. Hey, Mullis had a really good long run car before the switch could flip, and that 40 car could come to him and he could catch the 77, but as time winds down here, it gets harder and harder.
Especially for Tim Bills, who's trying to fend off the 51 of Ryan Matthews. He's more damaged as well, but he's using the middle lane, so you can see that middle lane. Oh no, there goes Tim Bills. Oh, can he save it? Nope, caution's gonna come out. No. 66, 67, barely avoids. Oh no. Should have held the brake, but he didn't. And the 12 again. 46 also involved. It's Jared Boilers.
I think that was the final nail in the coffin for Drew.
Yeah,
that 12th car. It was a hard hit.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. That was just the insult to quite literal injury, and I think the worst of that was Caldwell Jr. He had nothing to do with it, but he got involved with that, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately for Bills right there, that was 2 overcorrects in 1 lap, 1 down the back, and then 1 off of turn 4 in the middle of 3 and 4. And a lot of good cars collected in that one, but again, like we had seen earlier in the race, Bills has a decent short run car, but as the run goes on, that thing just becomes a handful to drive. And we saw right there, it was just a little bit too loose for him off of 2, and he just was never really able to catch it.
66, 46, I think that was a 67. Colin Allman barely made it through. Got the piece of that was also at the 98, I believe. It could have been the 92. He's still on pit road, so a number on that other driver that was also involved just before the 12 made some contact. That was a 27 of Justin LeDuc.
Yeah, and when the Bills car came back down the track, that's when LeDuc and Kryvik got the brunt of the damage there. But still, though, up front, nothing's changed. Doucet, Mullis, Majeski, Bataska, and Wilkinson are the top 5. This restart bunches everybody back up. Will be double file. It's going to open up the door for some of these guys like Mullis, like Majeski, Bataska, who were too far away from Doucet to do anything. Now they're going to be right on his back bumper. So the question is, can they get a good enough restart to stay within range to get to that bumper? Can they pass him cleanly? Which line are they going to take? There's a lot of questions that hopefully will be answered over the last 10 laps.
This is going to be a final about probably 9 laps. That's where only 11 laps to go, assuming we got the 2 to go, or assuming we have the 2 to go signal this time around. This race is going to be quite interesting. If another caution comes out before 6 laps to go on the front straightaway, that depends on where the leader is. Just with 6 laps to go, it depends on where the leader is, and if we do get a 2 laps to green, or at least a 1 to go, final restart, I should say. So point of no return is roughly 5 laps to go, definitely 4 laps to go. So once the caution comes out, under 5 laps to go, the race is essentially considered over. 9 laps to go on this restart. This is going to be quite interesting.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here. It's really unpredictable, and honestly, I don't really have any predictions or projections, I guess you could say. Who knows what's going to happen? You got a lot of good cars up here, and they were all running about the same lap time before that caution came out, so they're all fast. Bunch of good drivers up here. Let's see what they've got.
It's going to be Doucet, Mullis, Majeski, Bataska, Wilkinson, top 5. Green flag is back out. 9 laps to go. This is going to be a final exciting, well, 56 got a little bit loose on the inside, but this is going to be a very exciting few laps to go. Majeski looks to the inside for second, doesn't get it done for now, but he's all over that back bumper.
And I think the tires that Majeski has, I think right now that's where they're going to really shine. He's got 25 some odd lap newer tires than that 40 car. He's right in the back bumper. He was a little bit quicker than him before that last caution. Let's see what he can do. But there's a lot of contact in the mid-pack. 3 wide up the track is Edwards, but they've kept it straight and we stay green.
I think that was Allman in the wall in the number 27, but the time being, though, yeah, you did mention, well, stint information shows 86 laps on their tires from Doucet and Mullis. Majeski was now 64 laps on his tires as compared to 87 laps. So it's lap by lap, and Majeski may have this in the back. He just has to really get on that pedal, and he's doing that right now.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough going for him to try to get around Mullis. Mullis obviously is not going to lay over with 5 laps to go, and the longer that 40 car holds up the 91, the further away Doucet goes. So I think Doucet's sitting pretty right now. If we get a caution here, I think the race is over. So Doucet's in a good position, but Mullis, though, he's trying everything he can to keep the 91 at bay. But those tires being 23 laps newer, that's going to really be hard to hold off the last 4 laps.
That's going to be really difficult for Mullis to hang off. Oh, almost got turned there from that camera angle. That was insanely close to the back bumper. 91 gets loose with 3 laps to go. This race is quickly winding down, and anything that happens is pretty much set in stone at this point. This is going to be a very exciting 2 laps. Oh man, I don't know if Majeski's going to be able to get by that 40 because he is hanging that 91 back as much as possible. 2 laps to go.
And he's put about a half a car length in between them, so not sure if Majeski's heated up the tires too much, or if he just hasn't put together good laps here the last few laps. So coming to the white flag, Doucet has this field at bay. The battles for second. Here comes Majeski off the 4 of the run.
Yeah, it may be too
Into
late.
the side of the 40.
Oh, there goes Mullis
40's
around.
gonna
Save it. No,
Got it.
56 though. That's going to be for the top 5 at the very least.
Oh, man. And Doucet rounds off a corner number 4. Doucet wins the 250 lap super late model race here.
Here comes
SARA.
everybody
What a job.
across the line.
What a race.
What a finish. Man, congratulations to Ryan Doucet though. That was absolutely amazing. And we saw again Jimmy Mullis try to hold, tried to squeeze down Ty Majeski as much as possible. And it worked out, just it didn't work out for, well, there's Mullis without congratulating, I believe it's his teammate as well. So that is absolutely amazing. But great job by Ryan Doucet to come home with the win here today.
Yeah, and I don't think Mullis was too happy with Majeski there. It was a little bit more than a congratulatory, hey, good job. Here's my door after the after the race is over. So, you know, bent fenders and hurt feelings, I guess, right there. But Majeski obviously had the faster car, and it was time to go. So can't really fault either one there. But heck of a job by Doucet. He really showed his stuff there late in that race, and definitely deserved that one.
And don't forget, Ryan Doucet actually hasn't hit the wall as of yet, but he's probably going to go till he breaks the engine and then ooh, stayed off the wall this time. I think he knows that he has to make that pass tech, so
Sure does,
good
not
choice.
like last night.
Yeah, good choice on saving that. But your top 3 interviews will be coming up in a few moments time. This is going to be our actual commercial break here. Congratulations to Ryan Doucet, and I'll be talking with again the top 3 drivers after this. Stay tuned and do not go anywhere.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Back live here from the Five Flag Speedway for the post-race interviews for the 4th annual H&H Sign Supply Brawl Spectacular, brought to you by SARA and H&H Supply. In a way, it's both. But just before we head to the interviews, a little bit of information about H&H Sign Supply. If you need vinyl sign making supplies, or you're a crafter with a big project, H&H Sign Supply can fulfill your needs for inkjet printable vinyl, wide format printers, sign blanks and stakes, not the food kind, banners, cutters, and so much more. If you're serious about creating a high quality sign, but you want to use affordable vinyl and sign supplies, place your order today with H&H Sign Supply, and you can do that at hhsignsupply.com. Use the code SARA15 for 15% off of your order, while, of course, restrictions may apply, and the offer expires on December 31st of this year. So, I'm going to start off with Dallas Pataska, and we will see how he is doing. Dallas Pataska, do you have us?
I do.
I managed to slip through for a 3rd place finish there. Congratulations with that. Absolutely amazing job by that. Definitely much congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It was a very interesting race, to say the least. After Spearman and I had a little bit of a tangle, I wasn't quite sure how the speed was going to be. Going into the race, I undercompensated for the weather change, or the track change, really. So I was just battling loose the entire race. Got down on pit road, took some tires, made a wedge adjustment, and it helped it. I thought I had a car that could contend with Doucet on the long run. Unfortunately, I didn't get much of a chance to show that, but the car still had speed for the top 5, so I'm more than happy with that and lucky to get out of here with that.
Yeah, you did a great job at coming through to the end from 12th to 3rd. So good 9 positions up from where you started. And, well, since you mentioned compensating for the weather change, does that also include the track line as well? Did you try and adapt that just a little bit throughout the race?
Oh, definitely. Because I didn't expect it to get as hot as it did, my car, if I would have been able to run it on the bottom, I would have been a whole lot faster, because that, just as a driver perspective, that's where I'm best here. Last night it worked really well, but the track didn't change as much with the fewer amount of cars on track. So I got stuck running the high line, and it didn't work for how I was driving it. My teammate Roush, he's more of a high line specialist over at Dynamic, so he got more out of it up there than I did. But yeah, it definitely played a role. It's just a matter of where your car was better. I didn't have the right adjustments in to run the bottom, so I struggled a bit. But luckily, I just had to get the elbows up and get her done.
I definitely managed to do that up to 3rd place. So before we go ahead and let you go, anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to or thank for your 3rd place finish here tonight?
Yeah, I'd just like to give thanks to Matt Rolfe and everybody who puts this on every year. It's the best short track league in iRacing for a reason. So I'd like to thank those guys. I'd like to thank everybody over at Dynamic for helping out. Congratulate Roush on, I think he got 5th. So nice to see 2 Dynamic cars in the top 5. And I'd also like to thank my painter, Garrett Mashburn over at GM Racing Designs, for the sick ride on a short notice. Of course, I'm sure I'll watch it later. You guys for broadcasting. I watched last night. It was excellent. So thank you guys.
Thank you for the good feedback as well. So we're going to go ahead and let you go. Congratulations on your 3rd place finish.
Thanks, guys.
So that was Dallas Pataska finishing P3, and we're going to get Ty Majeski in here with Michael Conti here in just a few more moments.
All right, so we've caught up with Ty Majeski. Ty ended up finishing 2nd tonight after starting 8th. During the first half of the race, it looked like you were mired back in the mid-pack and struggled to get up to the front. Walk us through some of those challenges and tell us how you were able to overcome that tonight.
Yeah, in the beginning of the race, my initial plan was to short pit, around lap 50, so I could stretch fuel farther and take my tires later. So there was really no point in me pushing the issue on anybody. So I just kind of rode where I kind of ended up there, 10th to 12th, I think it was, and came in on lap 44 and filled it up with fuel. and I was able to stretch it. Thankfully, I did. Otherwise, I would have had to have pit under green like some of those guys did. So thankfully, I did that. I had an okay car. I was pretty good on the really long run that we had, but I think Jimmy pretty much had the car to beat. Ryan was really good at the end too, but I was probably fifth place car and ended up second out of it. So can't complain about that. It's just obviously really tough when the dynamic track heats up and everybody's going the same speed and everyone's slipping and sliding around. Obviously makes it difficult to pass, especially when the outside group came in, but track cooled down after the stretch of cautions that we had, and I had a little bit fresher tires than everyone, about 20 green flag laps fresher, and fortunately wasn't quite good enough to get the job done, but overall second place isn't too bad. We'll take it.
Yeah, so you talk about how you had some fresher tires than the guys that were directly ahead of you at the end there. Still, though, it looked like it was still challenging to pass Mullis there at the end, even with those newer tires. How much of a difference did tires make tonight, and do you think tires were more important or track position?
I think you just need to have yourself a good car, one that can move around and pass guys and turn the center, but yet have good forward drive off. And I was lacking a little bit in the drive off department. Felt like I could roll the center and get position on guys. I just couldn't finish passes. To answer your question, I would say track position is pretty important. Two different strategies, finished first and second, and Ryan's ended up being a little bit better. But even that from like lap 207 to like 230, I had a chance to run him down and I couldn't do it. He was just better at the end than everybody else. So good job to him. Always fun racing Ryan and Jimmy. And overall, it was not a bad night.
Yeah, definitely a good showing for you too. Before I let you go here, I know you've got sponsors and people that support you and make it happen for you. So give them a shout out. Who makes it happen?
Yeah, everyone on my team. We worked really hard this week. Ran a ton of laps, trying to get our stuff better, and I think we're close. I think overall Jimmy and those guys have really good stuff on this particular build, and we're playing catch up a little bit. So I think we took a step in the right direction this week. So just shout out to everyone on my team, and we have a lot of fun doing this, and that's what it's all about. So gonna keep doing it for a while.
Yeah, definitely looked like a good time out there. So Ty, good job. Congratulations. Awesome run tonight, and we will catch you next time.
All right. Thanks, guys. See you later.
Thank you. All right, and last but certainly not least, the winner of tonight's big event at Five Flag Speedway, 77 car, Ryan Doucet. Ryan, first off, congratulations on the win. Tell us how you got there.
It was a journey, I'll tell you that. Started around mid-pack. During the qualifying, we didn't have the strongest qualifying effort yesterday. Time trialed 14th. Finished second in the heat. I felt like we could have won. Ran out of time. But from that heat, I got a read on the car. And the car it felt real good. And we, on that lap 44 caution, when I got involved, I thought my race was over. But ended up being a slight amount of damage, not too bad. I had to journey all the way from dead last up to 6th on that green flag run, and right during that run I knew that we had something to contend for the win. Got lucky with track position on that caution with like 90 to go. Was able to get the lead, and it was smooth sailing from there.
So we've talked to the other top three about how difficult it was to pass tonight, considering everybody was running right on top of each other lap time wise. Walk us through just how difficult it was to pass, and just tell us a little bit more about the car you had tonight, because to go from the back to the front like you did, you must have had a great car, but still, how difficult was it to get by those guys on your way to the front?
Well, I got lucky. My car worked really well on the bottom. I was able to hook the apron off 2 and off 4 really well. That'd give me a good launch off the corners. And that's what helped me set up most of the passes on my way through the pack, because everyone was trying to run high because of how dynamic tracks works. A lot of the heat was in the very bottom groove, and most people couldn't make it work. Meanwhile, I was down there actually making it work, and that played in my favor.
Yeah, it definitely looked like you had a good piece tonight. So we're going to let you go. I'm sure you've got some celebrating to do. It's a big deal to win one of these things. But before I do let you off here, Tell us a little bit about the sponsors that are on the car and the team that you have behind you.
Well, first off, I gotta thank Patriot Media and Marketing Services. Their new spot. They just jumped on board this race. GFAArmstech.com, Middlesex Cleaning, Accelerated Motorsports, James Curl, Trevor Edwards. They've been helping me out with setups a lot lately, and they influenced a lot of what got put into the car, into the swing setup. Gotta thank them. I gotta thank Matt Rolfe and the entire SARA crew. Putting on an event this big on iRacing, it's definitely means a lot. I love to see sim racing get this type of attention. And I think that's about it.
All right, well, Ryan, sounds good. We'll let you go here, but great job tonight. Fantastic drive from the back to the front, and you held off a lot of good competition. So you should be proud of what you've accomplished here, and we will see you next time we run.
Yep, thank you.
Well, that is almost a wrap on the night, but it's absolutely exciting to see I believe, a first-time winner, actually, in the form of Ryan Doucet for winning his first, I believe, again, just winning at least the 4th annual SARA Fall Brawl. So that is definitely an achievement in of itself. And like you mentioned, Michael, it was essentially an endurance race, and it definitely was for about 2 hours worth. So an hour and 45 minutes, I should say, more realistically. But again, this was just a very exciting night, and I definitely am actually tempted to do this again next year, actually. So this was pretty cool.
Yeah, it sure was, and it was a really cool experience for me. Typically, I'm on the track and I'm racing, and broadcast is happening, and I don't really pay much attention to it unless I run really well and I watch it back after the race. But to be on the other side of it and to see what goes into making the production and just how much you've got on your plate, Gary, between the producing and the announcing and coordinating this whole deal, it's fantastic. And luckily for me, I've been able to just sit back the last 3 nights and tonight, watch some awesome racing in a really good league, and get to call the action. So I've appreciated the opportunity, and for those who are watching, thank you for tuning in. It's been a blast.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to thank everyone that tuned in throughout this entire past 4 days. Really appreciate the support. Thanks to Matt Rolfe and SARA in general as well for just letting us put on this this broadcast, I should say, and the event as well, because, well, without the sponsors and pretty much Matt or anybody, then this wouldn't have happened. So this is absolutely one of the most exciting 4 days, and somehow my voice is not completely gone from 4 days worth of broadcasting. So if I ever do an actual endurance event on RaceSpot or LSR sometime, then I am probably going to be very well prepared in terms of keeping my voice to last. But yeah, this has definitely been an exciting 4 days. So once again, thanks to everybody for watching. At the moment, well, or in case I have absolutely no idea when the next broadcast is going to be, but keep an update on that over on my, I would say my social media, but I'm going to go for more Facebook, which is facebook.com/RLBN.GaryWeaver. I don't have a graphic for that, but I have been Gary Weaver, and for Michael Conti, and for pretty much SARA in general, thank you all for tuning in for tonight, and we hope to see you next time. Good night.